One Zambia, One Nation. Thank you so much for joining us on this bulletin of Zanis News. To present it, I'm Michelle Rubinda. The headlines. President Hichilema expected in Addis Ababa for the 36th session of the AU. NEMA records 2.7 million people under scheme. And floods cause havoc in Lusaka. The news in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema is tomorrow, February 17, 2023, expected to attend the 36th session of the African Union Heads of State and Government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakubo confirmed that the summit is taking place from the 18th to the 19th of February 2023. Mwangala Kapandula is in Ethiopia and now reports.
President Hakainde Hichilema expected to be among heads of state and governments attending the 36th session of the Assembly of the African Union AU Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakubo confirmed that the summit is taking place from the 18th to 19th February 2023. The summit is expected to deliberate on, among other issues, the African Continental Free Trade Area, the African Union's response to COVID-19 pandemic in Africa, the African Union institutional reforms, the global food crisis, climate change, and the global political, financial, and energy policy governance. The Assembly is also expected to consider a range of thematic issues such as the state of peace and security in Africa. On the margins of the summit, President Hichilema is expected to hold bilateral meetings. Meanwhile, Mr. Kakubo says Zambia values the investment opportunities between Zambia and China, especially the electric vehicle value chain and also the support in the health system. The minister said this when he met the Special Representative on African Affairs of Government of China, Liu Yuxi, during a bilateral engagement on the sidelines of the summit.
We've attached so much importance to the friendship, and we still want Chinese businesses to operate in our country, to invest especially on the electric vehicle value chain is of high importance to us. But also I want to mention that we really appreciate the support that we got from your government vis-a-vis the fight against it. And also I want to mention that we are grateful to your government for the support that you have continued to give us on the issue to do with the debt resolution.
And the Chinese government has called for strengthened ties in many areas of development in the transport industry, energy, trade and investment, among others, and will support Zambia in the debt restructuring program.
Strengthen strategic communication and policy synergy with your side to strengthen our cooperation under the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative. We have a very famous project that is the Tazara Railway, and our two leaders have reached important common understanding on reviving this time-old project. We will strengthen coordination with your country as well as Tanzania to find a reviving plan that is suitable to the demand of the market. And on that issue, as the co-chair of the Creditor Committee for Zambia, China has played an active role in promoting the debt treatment of Zambia through the G20 Common Framework, and we will continue to play a constructive role in this regard to help you to properly solve your debt issue.
For Zanis News, Mwangala Kapandula in Addis Ababa.
We move to the Copper Belt province, where trade unions, suppliers and contractors in the extractive industry have pledged to work with government in rebuilding the economy of Zambia. President Hakainde Hichilema assured that his administration is keen on ensuring that obstacles surrounding operations of some mines in the province are resolved quickly. Kalani Mchima has the rest of the story.
While many Zambians continue to assume that the fight against corruption is slowly losing grip, President Hakainde Hichilema has announced that his administration, through Parliament, will soon be changing the law to expedite the fight against the vice.
With the Parliament opening now and the judiciary and having a reformist Chief Justice, who some people have started attacking in order to weaken him because he is fighting corruption like us. Because we must have a shared vision. We have also now taken a decision that, first remember the old decision that don't arrest somebody when you have not investigated. That must continue. But when you arrest somebody, prosecute quickly. So with the infrastructure we put, we are now going to put a regulation that all these cases must be prosecuted within 90 days. Within 90 days. Now you will see some activity.
Indeed, we're looking forward.
The head of state explains that one of the reasons why the fight against corruption had slowed down was because of the former Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, who was shielding perceived criminals.
Fight against corruption is here to stay. Past corruption, present, future. The reason people are complaining is justified. Why? Because we had difficulties to prosecute cases. Why? We had a Director of Public Prosecutions who did not support the fight against corruption. I'm sure you know the legal system. If you want to prosecute anything, the DPP has to clear that. If the DPP does not clear that, your judges will sit in the courtroom waiting. They will be sitting there no way. Or there will be work which is away from corruption. So we had to clear that out.
President Hichilema tells the nation that more investments are currently being done in the judiciary to expedite the fight against the scourge.
That's why we're changing some laws. Parliament opened, I think, a few days ago. We'll be changing some laws now to expedite the processes. So that change took place. I am sure you've seen that the new judges that have come through.
Yes.
Well, for you just see new judges. For us, we see that the workload now will be distributed because there were fewer judges. I saw you nodding. I'm sure you wanted me to say a certain thing. I won't say it. But it's the workload.
Right.
It's a workload. Some judges would handle 20 cases. Judgments were slow. We want efficiencies there.
The head of state also took time to explain the peace his government has brought in the country, especially on the Copper Belt, saying this is something the nation must celebrate about.
So nice that we can meet in this environment. No noise outside, no cadres are shouting at anybody. And I think this is how the country should be. Sometimes it's easy to forget where we are coming from. Just 20 months ago, barely 20 months ago, it wasn't possible for us to meet like this. And I just want to say to the people of Zambia, certain things we should never forget. We forgive, but we should never forget.
Kalan Muchima, reporting for Zanis in Ndola.
Now, the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, is resolved to introducing a mandatory electronic systems bond system in an effort to address the numerous challenges and discrepancies involving huge sums of money. Speaking during a bond management meeting in Lusaka, ZRA Commissioner General Dingani Banda explained that the manual customs bond management system has been prone to many abuses, adding that the system has many inherent weaknesses. Mr. Banda added that the current bond system has been affecting the safety of government revenue since the introduction of Axkuda World in 2013, and Pensions and Insurance Authority Acting Registrar Namakao Mutini commended government for its agenda in advancing development in the informal sector. Ms. Mutini, however, noted that low insurance uptake in the country, saying that the solution to the existing challenges between the authority and insurance sector will enhance insurance space. Meanwhile, Insurance Association of Zambia President Mwashika Nkaka said the insurance industry is happy to be part of the discussion on customs bond.
So the total outstanding transit obligations are valued at 564.54 million kwacha. So these transits are all covered by customs bond, which are guaranteed by the stakeholders, mostly in the insurance industry. But as you recall, if you go through Auditor General's report every year, there's always an issue of outstanding transits that are putting government revenue at risk. So that problem is mainly caused by, among others, the fact that the current process for management of customs bond is not well streamlined. So these are efficiencies that we need to bring on board and address.
We have to have a convergence of data, and I think this is one issue that government has pushed. A lot of times we have information that is sitting with one institution and the other institution doesn't know what is happening. So really when you look at the advancements that government is making alongside the work that Smart Zambia is projecting is that we want to find a convergence of information. And so it's important that as a sector, we are prepared for that.
This matter has been outstanding for a very long time now. And a number of discussions have been held to look for solutions on how to resolve this issue.
In Southern Province, government will this year commence the construction of 398 housing units for officers under the Zambia Correctional Service in the region to address the challenges of accommodation among officers. Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner Chairperson Evaristo Kalonga says the commission is committed to ensuring that officers are provided with suitable accommodation that will motivate them. Speaking when he paid a courtesy call on Southern Province Permanent Secretary Naman Monze, Mr. Kalonga also disclosed that the Commission has procured over 2,100 mattresses to be distributed to all correctional facilities in the province to improve the living conditions of inmates. And Southern Province Permanent Secretary Naman Monze commended the Commission for its resolve to address challenges being faced by officers and inmates.
The new Dawn government, PS, has given the correctional service here in the Southern Province 398 housing units that will come under phase 2 of AVIC project. The new Dawn government is concerned and wants to ensure that our officers are well motivated. Coming to the welfare of inmates, Southern Province, the government has bought 2,170 high-density mattresses for inmates. Those mattresses will go a long way to ensure that our inmates live in humane condition.
We as provincial administration will work with the regional command to see how we can support each other so that these ambitions are realized.
In health news, Luapula Province Permanent Secretary Might Mumba has launched the polio vaccination campaign. The polio vaccination will run from Thursday 16th February to Sunday 19th February 2023. More in the following report by Kennedy Chomba.
Luapula Province is among the 4 provinces where the Minister of Health is implementing the polio vaccination campaign. And Luapula Province Permanent Secretary Might Mumba, who launched the polio vaccination campaign, has directed all district health directors to ensure that they meet the target.
We target to vaccinate a total of 394,173 under 5 people across Luapula Province, with Masa district having a higher target as compared to the other 11 districts. And therefore urge all the district health directors in Luapula Province to work extra hard and ensure we meet our targets.
Luapula Province Health Director Simon Kunda says the country is on the right track in eradicating polio.
Polio was at once a leading cause of paralysis among children worldwide, but is now close to being eradicated. Since 1988, the number of children affected by polio has reduced by 99%. To completely eliminate polio, every child in every household must be vaccinated.
Meanwhile, the Rotary Club have pledged to continue supporting the polio fight in the country.
For example, this year in January, UNICEF has received from Polio International 604,340 to support the outbreak of the polio response in Zambia only.
Kenneth Chomba reporting for the News in Masa District.
More in the health news, the Ministry of Health in Mfumbwe District, Northwestern Province, is set to implement the polio vaccination exercise, which runs from Thursday 16th to Sunday 19th February 2023. The exercise, which targets children below 5 years, is in response to the positive polio cases which were recently reported in the neighboring Copperbelt province. Gladwell Ngoma has details in the following report.
Following the recent positive cases of polio in the Copperbelt province, The Department of Health in Mufumbe district is set to conduct a polio vaccination exercise, which is supplementary to the routine immunization program. As the department is implementing the exercise, Mufumbe District Health Director Dr. Nzala Halwindi cautions on the negative consequences of not allowing children to get vaccinated.
As you are all aware, this is a response to the positive cases that were reported in our neighboring province, Copper Belt. The objective of this immunization campaign is to target all those children that are under the age of 5 years to receive the vaccine, because receiving this vaccine helps them to build up on the immunity and protect them from having the disease. I would also love to bring to your attention that polio is a very deadly disease and it's quite contagious. It has no cure once it is contacted.
Mufumbe District Commissioner Elijah Munyombe has appealed for support from traditional leaders, while Kawipu Ward Councillor Lecho Kayoya pledges support towards the program.
If we don't vaccinate our children, we expect to have a lot of handicapped people. So my humble appeal through traditional leadership throughout the Mufumbe district, I want to make sure they organize the headmen and the grassroots to make sure that all children under 5 are given a polio vaccine.
I'm grateful that the Ministry of Health that we included civic leaders to be part of stakeholders fighting against polio. As a leader, I'll make sure that I'll do my part. We'll be working together hand in hand with the Ministry of Health.
Reporting for Zanis in Mufumbe District, I'm glad Wangom.
The news continues. Zambia Army Commander Stali Alibuzwi says a course in military and war strategies is a prerequisite for armed forces. General Alibuzwi was speaking when he delivered a lecture to the Junior Command, Staff Course officers and Allied Defense Forces at the military establishment of Zambia, Mutez. More in the following report.
It is a special lecture to the Junior Command and Staff Course officers from Zambia and 6 Allied Defense Forces within the Southern African Development Community region. Zambia Army Commander Lieutenant General Stali Alibuzwi gracefully delivered his lecture.
Responsible for what tactical objectives are to be achieved, the sequence of securing the tactical objectives, allocating forces and resources to achievement of the tactical mission, and setting out priorities for provision of combat service support to sustain tactical battles.
The school commandant says it will go a long way in equipping the officers.
This particular occasion is important in the calendar of Junior Command and Staff Course, because the lesson which the Army Commander covers borders on military planning, and in this regard the Commander covered the principles of war, which are very important in the aspect of planning. The course comprises of Zambian students from the Zambia Army, Air Force, Zambia National Service, and also members of the Allied Defense Forces from Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and also from Eswatini.
And Major Jamini Nombusu of Eswatini has paid tribute to the Zambia Army Commander.
Today we had the privilege of being visited by the Army Commander, who has given us a lecture on the principles of war. This lecture is going to broaden our horizons as students in the military career. We really appreciate and we are so grateful for him to give us such a lecture in his busy schedule.
Later, the Army Commander paid a courtesy call on Central Province Minister Credo Nanjua.
I came in to deliver a lecture or a lesson on the principles of war. which actually started first by looking at the background of warfare. That is defining the levels of warfare in relation to strategy. Strategy also in the military is 21 levels, either 3 or 4, depending on the doctrine one follows.
Currently, 52 officers are undergoing a 6-month junior command and staff course training at the military training establishment in Kabwe. 6 allied defense forces, namely Malawi, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Zimbabwe and Eswatini, are also partaking in the training. Zanis reports in Kabwe, Central Province.
And in Central Province, National Health Insurance Management Authority NEMA Director of Assurance and Accreditation, Mpuma Kamanga, says 2.7 million people in the country are now registered with the scheme. Speaking to Zanis on the sidelines of a stakeholders engagement that is reviewing the benefits package, Ms. Kamanga said the program is intended to ensure that the scheme responds to the needs of the beneficiaries. We have more in this report.
They have gathered here to review the National Health Insurance Management Authority NEMA Basic Benefits Package. Director for Quality Assurance and Accreditation, Dr. Mpuma Kamanga, now looks at who qualifies to be on the scheme and its benefits.
The health insurance scheme is government's intention to cover all Zambians in a prepayment scheme where we all contribute according to our ability, but we access a benefit package. Okay? When you're making a contribution, it's based on your ability. But when you go to access services, we look at your need. We don't say you only paid so much, so you get a different service. So it is a very big solidarity model. We all contribute in the same pool so that we look after each other. Okay? The healthy look after the sick, the rich subsidize the poor, okay? The young subsidize the old. We're happy to state that currently NEMA has registered 2.7 million Zambians. About 2 million of those are what we call principal members, the ones who are actually contributing. So the good news is once you become a member is that should you fall sick, you have access to what we call accredited hospitals, accredited institutions across the country. Currently we have about 359 facilities across the country.
Meanwhile, Chainama Hills Hospital consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Francisca Bwalia, says the review process is responsive to mental health issues.
I'm one of the consultants who've been engaged under this benefit package review that NEMA is undertaking currently. And this exercise is important because there are many factors that change in the practice of medicine, and mental health is not exempt to it. So there are a number of conditions that we've identified that we feel that we're seeing a number of cases, and we would like some of those conditions to be added to the benefit package. And also modes of treatment. There are many other aspects in terms of treatment and management of our clients, like investigations and certain medications that we've recognized the need and we're seeing a great need for, and we're also including those during this exercise, which will be a benefit to our clients and also to our practice as practitioners. So this exercise is actually very beneficial, and it's something that is a very welcome idea to the medical practice, and we look forward to many such platforms and reviews.
Professor John Musuku is Senior Medical Superintendent at Levi Mwanawasa University Teaching Hospital and now shares the milestones achieved under the insurance scheme.
We are claiming in a figure of about 1 to 2 million every month, and that is going straight into patient services, procuring commodities, procuring drugs, supplementing rather on drugs supply, and that is all through NEMA. We have also bought equipment under NEMA. We've gotten theater equipment, we've gotten orthopedic implants, we've gotten certain implants for neurosurgery, all this through NEMA.
Zanis reports in Kabwe, Central Province.
Still in the health news, government has embarked on upgrading of Mbuyawana Road, which is the main road leading to Mongu District Hospital in Western Province. The road, which is being worked on by the Zambia National Service, will improve access to quality healthcare services. Here are the details by Rogers Fiabipa.
The Zambia National Service has embarked on the expansion works of Mbuyawana Road, which leads off to Mongu District Hospital in Western Province. Speaking shortly after inspecting the road, Mongu Town Mayor Nyambe Muyumbana said the road is going to ease the movement of people in the area.
We have so many people in this area. At a time when they are sick, if a woman is pregnant, they were having difficulties to reach the hospital. But with this road being graveled, it means a simple taxi can reach their homes and be able to easily access the hospital. So it will be a very helpful road to our people in terms of issues to do with access to health.
Earlier, Mongu Municipal Council Acting Director Engineer John Siangandu highlights on the scope of road works.
Where we are doing a road that leads to the Mbuyawana Small Market and also has access to the Mongu District Hospital Road. We are carrying out works, that is expansion of the road itself. It was initially about 2 meters, but we are widening it up to about 6.5 meters riding surface. Then the scope of works that we are doing, basically we are uplifting this road from earth, which was sandy, heavy sand, to gravel. We are covering a distance of about 800 meters from the district hospital to the Mbuyawana Small Market.
And residents in the area have expressed optimism that once the road is done, it will reduce transport impediments people face in the area.
Waitumela aluka kulubera mkwakwawo wakagraveo ukalutusa hulu inge sulu kwa nekula kulya mwile kwa maoda amutotuluka likazamina zikona kupita hande lulipo mutulukela pa marketi kale fale ne luziele anga ulukuli alutuluka kwale fone kuferera ka graveo kale kasipatela nekufumane akula iba utulukira cyo kwa ma 19 michaha baba bizwa majanki bakweza ataki bakwamwa likazoshimbire.
Rogers Fiabipa reporting for Zanis in Mongu District of Western Province.
The news continues. The Ministry of Finance and National Planning says the implementation of risk management policy by all government departments and public bodies will promote prudent utilization of state resources. Risk Management Assistant Director Misozi Nyimbiri says the risk management policy is part of the Public Service Reform Program and the 8th National Development Plan, which is aimed at safeguarding assets from misappropriation and misapplication in the public service. Mrs. Nyimbiri was speaking in Chirundu District during an orientation meeting with heads of government departments and quasi-government institutions on the risk management framework guidelines and the Treasury Circular No. 9 of 2022. And Chirundu District Commissioner Patrick Kasambila has directed all public service workers in the district to embrace the function of the risk management as required by Public Finance Management Act No. 1 of 2018. Mr. Kasambila, who was represented by Chirundu District Administrative Officer Musonda Lunkutwe, said all acts require that all controlling officers put in place effective and efficient systems of risk management.
The requirement for all departments to integrate and implement a system of risk management is anchored on the provisions provided in the Public Finance Management Act No. 1 of 2018. Specifically, the Public Finance Management Act requires the controlling officers to put in place effective and efficient systems of risk management. Ladies and gentlemen, functions of risk management must be taken seriously by all departments and institutions, as well as to ensure that at all times we consider as a management tool in the executions of our duties at district level.
So risk management just comes about as we try to achieve our planned objectives. What should we do? We should identify the risks in advance so that we can cure them before we go into conducting our day-to-day activities. So that as we go out there, we should try and meet our intended objective. And those objectives that we're speaking to, they all fit into the national plan, not so. So the government noted that there was a lot of seepages that were going around, and as a result, we're not achieving our intended objective as a country.
Lastly, in the news, continued heavy rainfall being experienced in Lusaka has adversely affected livelihoods, leaving people in distress in some parts of Lusaka. Libala and Kamwala South areas are some of the townships that have been affected by the floods. Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu and Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit National Coordinator Gabriel Pollen visited some of the affected areas. We have more in this report.
Heavy rainfall being experienced in Lusaka has adversely affected livelihoods, leaving people in distress. Libala and Kamwala South areas are some of the townships that have been affected by the floods. Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu, who was accompanied by Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit National Coordinator Dr. Gabriel Pollen and Fire Brigade Deputy Chief Officer Robert Banda, visited some of the affected areas. The District Commissioner has directed community to cooperate with contractors as they work on the drainage system in the area.
What I can only ask the communities to cooperate with the people working on the site. We are asking that may they cooperate, because if they don't, they will all be affected.
DMMU National Coordinator Dr. Pollan has expressed concern on the structures built in inappropriate places.
The problem has been substantial urban development that has taken place around this area, and then the problem is that this development has been uncoordinated, and because the development has been uncoordinated, it has led to infrastructure being built on natural water drains.
And Fire Brigade Deputy Chief Officer Robert Banda said his office will ensure all affected areas receive the necessary help to eradicate the floods.
What we do is go there and report so that other measures are considered by the authorities to give them the relief that would be an appropriate one.
Kamwala South residents are appealing to the government for a lasting solution that will ease the stress residents are currently facing.
So the only solution that we can ask from the government is to help us with a bigger drainage that would be able to swallow this water. Otherwise, without this solution, this would be the daily thing in our lives.
Muiza Chuba reporting for Zanis in Lusaka.
On that note, we end the news, but before we go, a recap of stories that made headlines. President Hichilema expected in Addis Ababa for the 36th session of the AU. NEMA records 2.7 million people under scheme. Floods cause havoc in Lusaka. That's all we could package on this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production team, until next time, it's bye-bye.